everyone, it is Jane Evelyn or Lady Vixen, whichever one you may prefer. And I'm coming to you today with kind of a personal update. And I feel like personal updates are good, but I always have to make sure that when I'm making a personal update that it has something that you can take away from it, and sharing something that's going on in my life that you maybe can relate to, or something that you may relate to in the future. So try not to have personal updates that are kind of just superficial, because I don't know, there's enough of those out there on the YouTubes. So anyway, I want to talk tonight about family and update you of where I'm at with my father in particular. So if you watched the first video I posted on here, I believe it was one of the first videos. It was before I came out, or when I came out to my dad, and my experiences with that, and him saying, I was a beautiful woman, and things were kind of like okay. The first meeting was okay. Everything was was okay. And then I came out to my brothers and I met them in person for the first time. And after that, the tribe kind of decided amongst themselves to distance themselves from the different one, which I guess is kind of, now that I think about it, and if I take myself out of the situation, it's kind of almost just instinctual as, being in a group, in a family, which is a tribe, and kind of kicking out the different one because the different ones hold you back, right? And that's just in nature that happens. So I get it, I get it, and there was resentment at first. There still is resentment. There still is some issues to work through. But anyway, so after that, I wasn't being invited to family functions. My father wasn't calling me, and when he was calling me, he refused to use Jane. He would use my not biological, but my old name, and the pronouns were an issue, and also he would send me my mail, that I got some mail, mostly junk mail, to my parents' house, and he would send it to me, and my old name was just like written over everything. It was everywhere, and we just didn't talk. So I made the decision not to tell him about surgery, not to let him in about my gender confirmation surgery, because it was purely selfish. But I figured I don't need this delicate moment in my life to be trying to get him through it. As trans people, I think that we feel as though, and to a certain point we do, have to kind of like comfort people into understanding our lives and what we go through. And the last thing I wanted to do was be comforting my father, who should be comforting me. I didn't want to do it, and we weren't talking, and it really wasn't the time or place. And so the day after surgery, or a couple days after surgery, I called him with the intention of telling him about surgery. It felt like at that time I was ready, and surgery was already over, and I was on morphine anyway, and 3 sheets to the wind, so I figured it wouldn't be such a big deal. And when he picked up the phone and we talked, he basically he was just very angry at me. Like, he didn't want anything to do with me. And my dad's never done that to me before. And so it was really a letdown. It was really something that affected me. I felt like I was disowned. And so that day I started writing a letter to my father. And I wanted to get out everything that I felt, but I wanted to get it out in a way that was direct. I didn't want there to be too much detail involved, because I feel with these things, if we get too poetic or too esoteric or too emotional, that it doesn't translate well to people that don't get what we're going through. And so I was just making it very direct. These are the things that I want in a relationship with you, a father-child relationship. This is the criteria that I want. And part of that was, you need to accept me for who I am, or at least respect me by using proper pronouns and Jane, my name. And also sprinkled in there, I understand it's not easy for you, but we need to talk about these things. You don't get my life. And obviously there's an element of, there's a misunderstanding there. So we need to talk about these things. But I detailed out what I expected and why I haven't been in contact with him, and a resolution at the end. And kind of, I ended it with, basically this is the olive branch. This letter is me for one last time putting the guns down and just extending to him. And a month later, I finally decided to send the letter after I revised it a few times, a little bit less angry. And I sent it out a few days before Thanksgiving. And I didn't hear anything. And I figured I really wanted to get it out before a holiday because I didn't want him to think that I totally ditched him and was ditching my family for the holidays, even though I was in New Jersey with my adopted family. But I let him know where I was going. And I let him know that I have other people that I regard as family. And that family isn't always your biological lineage. Family can be other people that care for you and you care for them. So I also wanted him to know that. But I didn't get a call for about a week. And then recently, a couple days ago, he did call me. And he calls me and says, "Hey, it's me." And, and then starts to proceed to bitch about, like, we have this drama also on the side that has nothing to do with my transition about Sally Mae. And I don't know, if anyone out there is like 25 like I am, you owe money to Sally Mae, or you owe school loan debt. Like, it's just very common. And so he's co-signed to one of the loans, and there's just some drama there. And so he calls me up and he said, "Hey, it's me," and then starts bitching about how there was just some miscommunications on my end of things with Sally Mae and etc. But, and I'm sitting there, I'm at work, he's just bitching away. And I'm like, "Dad, I gotta call you back. I'm at work. I'll call you back in like 20 minutes. I got, hung up the phone, and I'm just... This would have made me cry, a year ago, because I don't like to be attacked on the phone like that. And the fact that I wrote him this letter, and I had, by the way, I changed phone numbers. And so in this letter, it had my new phone number. So he had to have read the letter in order to be calling me. And the fact that the first thing he wants to do is bitch at me about Sally Mae, even though in the letter I said, you can contact me as long as you don't contact me about Sally Mae, or if you contact me and you can't talk to me, you can't criticize me. I just don't like this critical, criticizing. And, and he just totally, both of those, just bulldozed him over. And so I didn't know what to make out of it, and I was kind of apprehensive to call him back, but I did anyway, and he proceeded to bitch some more about it, and finally, and I was cool as a cucumber, man. I'm not going to let it get to me. I can't. At this point, I used to hate my father. I used to hate him so hard. I'm not talking about the normal kind of hate. I'm talking about the hate where he turned his back and I would get a butcher knife out and be very serious about possibly stabbing the man. We did not get along. But now I just don't. I transitioned. I went through this huge transformation, And somewhere along the way, I left that behind in my old life. And I've come to the conclusion, I'm going on a tangent here, but just hear me out. I've come to the conclusion that I am so much like my father in so many ways. And that's why we don't get along. It's a battle of will of who can claim that personality. You know, his mind doesn't matter anymore. That it's we are very much similar. Um, and that's a whole nother realization. That's a slap in the forehead realization. This person I hated so much to be so much alike in retrospect. Anyway, so he's bitching. Let's go back. He's bitching on the phone to me, and then finally, we talk it out a little bit, and I'm just cool, whatever. I don't care anymore. Cool. Got it handled. Okay. And then he just flips it, and he does. That's what I do. He flipped it around and said, "Okay, look, I really want us to get together, and whenever you have a free chance, let's talk. I'll come to you, and then maybe you can come over to my house. And I don't want your brothers involved with this yet, but we need to talk about this, and I want to talk to you about this." And I'm like, he just flipped it 180 degrees to like being very sweet and kind, and I was like, Dad, I would want nothing more than that. And then we stopped talking about that, and we went on to, I don't know, just talking about the weather conversation, though, and when it comes down to it, everyone that I've talked to that has had a parent that didn't understand their transitions, everyone, no, not everyone, but most people, is that at the end of the day, eventually, they figure out that you're just you. It's just people. No matter what your history may be, you, it's just people. You're a person. You're not a label. You're not a category. You're just a person. And that bond between parent and child is goes deeper than some fucking gender. So I hope that it will get to that point where he'll just understand that I'm just a person, and as I've accepted that he's just a person, and he's flawed, and he's my father, and things haven't been perfect, and I didn't have a perfect childhood, but I had a lot better childhood than a lot of other people. And, the fact that we are cut from the same cloth, we are bullheaded, and we send mixed signals, and we say things with emotion, and I love that about myself. And there are a lot of things I don't like about him that I see in myself, and those are the things I want to change. I don't want to change the good things about my dad. I don't want to change the essence of my dad, because that is my essence too. So, anyway, we'll see where it goes. I'll update you guys again. Sorry, this is a long video. But even if you're very angry at your parents, give them a chance. I did not want to give my dad a chance. I hated him. I hated him so much. And everyone, when someone would say, "Oh, just give your dad a chance," it's like, fuck you. He's had enough chances. He fucked up. But you know what? My dad fucked up his whole life. He was not a good parent. That's all water under the bridge. And I know I speak in generalities, and I can only speak from my opinion. I know a lot of people have had a lot of abuse, and I'm not saying that that justifies shit. But what I'm saying is, parents come around, I think, eventually, and if they don't, it's about forgiveness from your side of things, because that's a dead body on your back if you drag that around your whole life of hating your parents. forgiveness is, letting that dead body off your back, and it's a lot lighter. So that's where I'm at. I will update soon with that one. I'm gonna let it go. We'll see. I'll update after we talk. That'll be interesting, right? You can't. I mean, there's what is there to talk about? I've already had the surgery. You gotta get on the train now. It's left the station already. You need to run down the track and try to get on the caboose because there's no going back. it's absolute. So I love you all. I'll see you next time. Until then, be safe, be good, and let me know. I don't know. Share your experiences on this subject. Till then.